tell me what you need. Trying to take what the Kanaka only got. Just to satisfy the government's greed. Hawaiians, tell me what you want. Kanaka Maoli, tell me what you need. We must never forget what our kupuna taught. Even if I have to breathe. The educator, manako deeper than the greater.
Aloha and welcome to First Friday. This evening's show is broadcast live on Oahu. It's October 7th. My name is Ann Kayla Kelly, and I'm sitting in for Shane Pale and Haunani K. Trask. If you would like to call in with questions, because it is a live show, the number is 834-2886. It will be appearing throughout the show. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. I'd like to welcome our guests. This evening I'm with, in the studio, with Dexter Keomuku Kayama, who is a native Hawaiian lawyer. Aloha, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And our other guest is Andre Perez, who is with the Huipu, a native Hawaiian group that is opposed to the Akaka Bill. So welcome to the show, Andre.
Aloha, Aina.
Thanks, both of you, for coming this evening. There's a lot of concern in the community about the Akaka Bill, but a lot of that concern isn't making it into the mainstream media. For instance, I know personally, as a reporter covering this story for several years now, that the perspective that I know both of you have in terms of opposition to this bill has a hard time getting into the press and therefore has a hard time reaching our people. So I'm really glad that you're both here this evening, because I think this is a program where we can actually get down to some of the details and the concerns, and it will reach a Native Hawaiian audience. So there's a lot to discuss about the bill. Obviously, there are a lot of concerns about the recent amendments to the bill. But yesterday, there was a protest or an action, or it turned into a vigil, right, at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So I'd love it if we can start off by talking about that. And Dexter, it'd be great if you would just kind of fill us in about what happened.
Yes, sure. What happened is that the membership of Huipu decided it was time to approach the board and ask them. In fact, it was a formal request that they pull their support from the bill, and to go a step further and to ask that Akaka himself pull the bill from congressional consideration. We made a decision after consultation within membership to go to the OHA board trustee meeting yesterday. We created a course of action. We discussed the alternatives, and we went forward, and it was our decision, and it was a committed decision to go forward in a respectful manner and provide a respectful request, providing information to the board, and a respectful request that they pull the support from the bill.
Okay. Now, I was there for part of the event. I was there for the entire Board of Trustees meeting. And I know that you made a statement. I also know that Ikaika Husky made a statement, and I think didn't you also make a statement? Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was that you actually said to the trustees?
Well, I wanted to try to highlight at this point in time the absurdity of the Akaka Bill, and just kind of, to me, how ridiculous it all seems when we have, I just wanted to highlight, some of the trustees' behavior. We have, when you stand back and you look at these people who are supporting the Akaka Bill, the point that I made was, you have Haunani Apoliona leading the supporters, chanting SB 147, SB 147, and I think to myself, look at the state that some of our people are in, and they're being led by this so-called leadership, and I just can't help but wonder what happened to Iku Mau Mau. Now it's evolved to SB 147, which really, to me, makes me think about American Hawaiians and Hawaiian Hawaiians. And it has become apparent when you see these people out there chanting, and I feel that it's a very deplorable state.
Well, what's the event they were chanting at?
It was when OHA had a bunch of sign waivers in front of the palace last month, and they had them out there holding signs and provided free bentos for them to go hold signs and support the Akaka Bill. A lot of the people that I talked to really didn't understand a lot of the details of the Akaka Bill. They were there holding signs because friends had asked them to. Mm-hmm. Then you got Dante Carpenter, OHA trustee, out there with the purple pom-pom. You know, although he claims it was a blue pom-pom. It doesn't matter. It was a pom-pom out there chanting SB 147. I'm just wondering at the state of our Hawaiian leadership, so-called leadership. These people are supposed to be leading us. And I just, for me, I wanted to ask them, you know, what kind of behavior is that? You're chanting American legislation.
Right.
Take a step back and look at the big picture.
Right.
Look at the image that you're presenting to the people.
Well, there was a different image that I saw presented yesterday, and I know that it won't necessarily get on the news. I saw some of it on the news this evening before I came in for the show. What I witnessed yesterday, which was really interesting, was, and the audience at home isn't going to know because it's not going to be on television, but I saw the board having its meeting at one point, and then I saw about 15 Hawaiians sitting on the floor doing what looked like a silent protest as the board was carrying on with its meeting. Tell me a little bit about how it evolved into that from you folks making statements. And I have to say, what I heard people saying yesterday was really, they were some of the most profound arguments against this bill that I've seen yet. And it's unfortunate that it's taking place just in the Board of Trustees office, because those meetings should be televised for everybody to see what's really being said. And we'll cover a little bit about what some of the trustees said in response, because that was interesting too. But can you tell, because it seemed to me that when you guys went in there, it sort of kept evolving into something else. So when it evolved into you guys doing a silent protest on the floor, what happened? Why did that happen?
Well, again, before we approached the board, you know, we made a decision. There were we thought of certain hypotheticals of what could happen. We discussed the possibility of going in and completely interrupting and disrupting the board service, the board meeting. We also talked about the approach that we finally committed to, which is one where Hina decided to ask permission in a cultural way by Oli and ask for permission to enter the boardroom. When permission was finally granted, they asked us to provide them some consideration in letting them run their board meeting. So since we took that step to be respectful in our approach, we allowed them to conduct business. And in our appropriate time, we made the statements that we made. Besides asking them to pull their support from the bill and giving them valid reasons why they should do so, we informed them at that time, we notified them that this was going to be a peaceful vigil, peaceful protest there for the next period of time. At the time, we didn't say, but it ended up being a peaceful vigil for 24 hours.
Okay. Now, before we get too far into what happened yesterday, let's talk a little bit about the amendments to the bill, because we know that recently there were major amendments made to what the three of us at this table already think was a bad piece of legislation in the first place. So we're going to talk a little bit about why it's just a bad piece of legislation, but let's bring people up to date on what some of these amendments are that you folks think are so dangerous to Native Hawaiians.
Well, I mean, they took a ugly bill, made it uglier, foul smell it. Of course, the elimination of any process for claims and leaving us with something they're calling negotiations. So we have no recourse. We have no way to sue. We cannot even take the U.S. to court. We can negotiate with the U.S.
via the Department of Interior.
Right, Department of Interior. So for me, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that I do know what negotiations means between Hawaiians and the U.S. We compromise while they gain. That seems to be the formula. So that's one major, very, very important problem that takes us even deeper into America's clutches.
I think it even goes a little further than that. We have to go step back a little. The amendments that were proposed by Governor Lingo